Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, please go ahead and like our Facebook page while you're there. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and check us out on Periscope at X Talking Ish. You can go ahead and check us out on my personal page at X_Williams81. And I already retweeted it. So it's there waiting on y'all to tune into the feed. Ish. Let's everybody for a second, let's go ahead and whoosha, because this past weekend, boy, was that a crazy week one. I'm still trying to recover this. I don't know about you. Um, it honestly started off in college football realm with all the craziness that was going on there, and it carried over to Sunday, which let's be real, Ish. We expected a couple of upsets. You know, it's any given Sunday, anything can happen. You know, we usually expect an upset or two every weekend. I mean, it usually happens. Not all the favorites win every weekend. But for it to go down the way that it did, for some of these games to go down to the end of the game, for some of these games to end in a tie. We have one game, of course. We'll get to that later on. But I mean, I'll say this. If you're not a football person and you're a casual sports person and you said, "Hey, I want to watch the NFL this year just to tune in," and I haven't watched it in 20 years, I just want to get back into it. Well, I don't know about you, but this was a hell of a weekend to go ahead and tune in because, I mean, you had almost any and everything that you could ask for amongst all of these games from the noon o'clock slot, of course, if you're here in the central part of the United States, to, of course, Monday Night Football with, of course, Russ returning back to Seattle. It
Boo.
was an amazing weekend of football. So I'm going to stop blabbling and I'm going to throw it over to Ish, and I want you to pick it up when it comes to why are we booing? Are we booing?
Because that was a trash matchup for Monday Night Football. Nobody cared about Russell going back to Seattle, and they're lucky it was a
Nobody
good
cared.
game.
You telling me the 12s in Seattle
But no
didn't
one
care?
cares. No one cares. They're lucky it was a good game, or else I would have really come out here and trashed them. And it was a good game up until the ending when who hired this guy? Who hired this guy? Mr. Hackett, he needs to go.
Now, this was funny you bring that up because, of course, that's the talk that probably needs to be talked about a little bit more. I don't think it was talked about as much today as it should have been. And shout out to Fracture One. He says, can't believe they booed him. And he's talking about Russ, of course, coming out for Seattle. Now, I'll be honest with you, Fracture One, that I do agree when it comes to I can't believe they did that. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's what the opposing crowd is supposed to do for the visiting team. I mean, it's not too many times we've seen Seattle embrace anybody really when they come back, to Seattle. So I understand why the 12s did it. Maybe, of course, after the game's over with, everybody's playing kumbaya, and the 12s love them some Russell Wilson. I don't know, but that is an interesting, situation on how that happened. And I'll get back to, of course, what Ish was talking about in the first place, was what the hell are you doing, new Broncos head coach, when it comes to not just I think the problem is more than anything is not just the field goal, but how it all transpired within that last minute of the fourth quarter and letting the clock dwindle down all the way to 20 seconds.
The play calling was garbage.
Letting the clock go down to 20 seconds, then kicking a field goal while Pete Carroll calls a timeout to try to ice the kicker.
And he missed.
You missed the field goal the first time.
I would have been like, hell no, get up out of there.
So if you see that the first time, if you see that the first time, I'm pretty sure anybody that has any type of football intellect will say, you know what?
Well, but here's the thing.
Maybe I
Nah,
understand
bro.
I understand he had the distance, but maybe we might need to second guess
No,
this
no,
one.
no. But even at that, bro, the way he missed it, it wasn't just that he missed, but you could tell there was no way he was getting that online. So for me, I just saw that first one miss, and I immediately, even watching, I'm sitting there like, oh yeah, bring Russ back on the field. He missed that one. Cool. Y'all just gave me another chance to bring Russ on the field and get the first down. And then I saw they really were going for it the second time. I was like, oh, here we go. And I knew he was going to miss again. And sure enough, he missed again. Dude, Hackett is that man needs to go.
Now,
Just
he
off of that
did.
one decision, he needs to go.
He did after the press conference. He did say, "Hey, now second guessing it, I would say that we should have went ahead and went for
Nah,
it."
you can't say it now. No,
I
you
mean,
can't
I
say it
agree. No,
now.
I agree. It's kind of a little too late to say that now, and of course, hindsight is always 2020. We did an episode about that. Go ahead and check out that video later on. Ding. But on a serious note, it's easy to say that when, of course, you pick the wrong choice and it doesn't work out for you. Because if you make the field goal, you look like a hero, and nobody's asking you these questions, right? But at the end of the day, we, of course, everybody saw all throughout social media the comments from Shannon Sharp, the comments from Ocho Cinco. I mean, anybody that talked about, hey, you're paying this guy $200+ million to play this position. You feel like you would think you would want to give him the ball to make a play to be able to win you the game.
It's ridiculous. You have a guy. I can understand if it was the other side, Geno Smith was the quarterback. Then I'm like, oh yeah, 63-yarder. I'm gonna go with that one.
Hey, yesterday you might have wanted Geno Smith on your team the way both those quarterbacks were playing.
Was balling, yeah, he was balling out. But I'm still saying, to me, with Russell Wilson as your quarterback, 4th and 5, I would still go for it. And I don't know, man. I don't know. That to me, he got to go. You know what they need to start doing? As part of the interview process, they need to start hooking up a game of Madden, put it on a 2-minute warning, and we're going to see what your 2-minute drill look like. You're going to do some play calling for me so I can see how you manage the clock, all right, on Madden. Because I'd rather you fail on Madden, and I know right off the bat, like, yeah, this guy is not somebody I want calling plays
First of all, look, you're going too old school. We have VR. Put him in some VR headset, make it as real as possible.
We need to do something to vet these guys moving forward, because just the entire drive, the play calling, the management of the clock, everything that went on in that final drive was garbage. It was terrible. It reeked of a rookie coach. And I mean, I'm just looking at that, and then the press conference afterward to come out and say, I second guess, and I think we should have gone for it. Like, no shit, Sherlock. I wish a reporter would have just been like, no shit. I'm glad they're paying you a ton of money for you to come out here and say that dumb shit. That was terrible.
As y'all can hear, Ish is very upset about what transpired over the last.
I'm upset about them giving these guys these opportunities to be a head coach when it's like, dude, anyone and their mama could have made a better call than you. Could have managed the clock better than what you did.
All right, let's get to the comment section right quick. Fracture One says, I mean, as smart as Russ is, I don't know why he left 40 seconds run off the clock, so I put that loss on him, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that's a call from the head coach, letting him know in the headset, hey, doing the clock down. Because, I mean, if we all know Russ going to want to cook. I mean, I would think he would be the one that want the ball in his hand to go make a play. So I don't think Russ was the one that decided to let that type of time run off the clock. Christine Rocho says, 12s boo Russ, Cowgirls boo Dak, and throw trash at him as he walks off injured. They act like Philly fans are the only bad ones. Here we go with this. Somebody always want to come and defend their Philly fans. Look, we all know.
No, they do always give Philly fans a bad rap, man.
Who? Philly fans give Philly fans a bad rap. I don't want to say, we ain't doing that today, okay?
When you the one fan base that decided y'all wanted to throw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Again, they do it to themselves, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. We'll talk about that another time. You got your own segment about how bad the Philly fans are. That's what we need to do. Anyway, Chad Bowes also says game management went out the window.
It sure
in
did.
The last minute.
Sure
One also says, what was up with the kickers this weekend? Justin Reed was the best one of the day, laughing my ass off.
Well, Blankenship is gone.
Blankenship did get released just a couple hours ago. This is very true. He also says now had him play ESPN 2K5 with the helmet camo. hey, if you know, you know. If you don't, you might be too young or you might just be too old. But if you know, you know.
If you know, you know on that one.
Also says Philly fans are delusional. Again, we ain't the only ones. So I'll leave it at that. And of course, my boy Dominique Powell, he back in the building. He says, you got to get after Russ. That's why he's there. I definitely agree. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap up, recap of Monday Night Football. So, of course, what we are doing now, we kind of changed up the format than we have done in the past. So, on Sundays, we're going to pretty much recap the Thursday night games like we did instead of last year where we recap Thursdays on Tuesdays. We just feel like a little too far in break. So, we're just going to recap those on Sunday show when we do, of course, our pregame show. So, make sure y'all tune in for that. You can hear us recap the Thursday night football game. And as we, of course, talk about that, let's go ahead and move into, let's be real, pretty much one of the biggest news of what happened over the weekend. I mean, I know it's, again, a lot of craziness that happened, but Dak, the biggest story here in Texas, at least. I mean, Dak's injury that at first seemed like could be maybe 6+ weeks of an injury, maybe even season injury, a season-ending injury. But it seems as though that maybe Dak can pull a Russell Wilson of last season and come back within 4 weeks. It's going to be very interesting. We'll get to that in a second. Fraction One Knows on the comment says there has to be more to the story of the Colts cutting their kicker, not just because of one kick. Locker room cancer. No, I don't think any of that. No. It's a kicker. Relax. Nobody listens to the kicker. Come on now. You know this. What seriously, I think what
you say that, but Marquette King still doesn't have a job.
Kicker, a field goal kicker and a punter, two different positions. And that's something Marquette King got to talk to John Gruden about. I ain't got nothing to do with that, sir.
I'm just saying
on that. I ain't got nothing to do with
it. All right.
On a serious note, though, besides him having a pretty damn good field goal percentage, I think he's making 40 out of his last 2 years, making 46 out of 57. Not like he missed many, but he did miss 7 field goals over 40 yards. And that is, let's be real, where NFL kickers make their money. Besides now, apparently point after touchdowns are just not automatic anymore. So if you can't make a 25-yard field goal, and if you can't make a 45-yard field goal, you're going to be out of a job. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just how it is now in the NFL, to where they don't care about these. It's kind of like an NBA-ish. Nobody care about the layups and dunks no more. It's all about the 3-point.
Yeah.
So you ain't hit that 3-point shot.
There's a wealth of kickers out there. If I'm being honest, there's a wealth of kickers out there. Maybe not all of them are tested, but when you've got a guy who comes out and misses game-winning field goals and you feel like you gave him the right opportunity, I mean, why not give some of these other guys an opportunity that's out there? He's definitely going to get another shot no matter what happens. Somebody else is going to get fired throughout the season, and he'll get another shot. And it's unfortunate that he got waived today, but at the same time, you say it all the time on these teams. You've got one job. I remember when I was playing in college, we always used to talk about it. The kickers go out there, all they do the whole practice is kick the ball, and sometimes they even leave in the middle of practice because they done kicking. They don't got anything else to do. So when your one job on the team is to go out there and make sure that you put the ball in between the goalposts, and they give you a golden opportunity at the end of the game to win the game for your team, and you can't do your job, I'm sorry, you're held to a certain standard, just like everyone else on the team, that if they aren't able to do their job, they gotta they got to go. And so, unfortunately for him, he's got to go. He's going to get another opportunity, though, unlike Marquette King, but that's another story for another day.
Another story for another day. Let's pivot back to the Cowboys and Buccaneers on that Sunday night game. Of course, if you were here with us on Sunday, you saw that Ish picked the Bucks, my bad, to win the game. I picked the boys.
One of my few that went.
I assumed they would at least score a touchdown in this game, and of course, that didn't happen. They were the only team in the NFL this past weekend to not score a touchdown. And, of course, to add insult to injury, Dak Prescott gets hurt, and I guess the only silver lining out of the whole thing is that he might only be out for less than 4 weeks because they're not going to put him on IR. This exact injury reminds me of what happened to Russell Wilson last year, right? Russell came back and tried to, do everything possible to get his hand back and make sure that he could play and play as effectively as possible and maybe get the Seahawks back to the playoffs. I don't know if y'all remember this last season, but it didn't work. So with that being said, is the season already over for the Cowboys before it even starts?
Not necessarily. You do have to remember they play in the NFC East, so they may have some.
I got a question. So are you telling me it's still the NFC least? Because you're talking down on the least. The NFL East.
Cowboys are the only team that lost.
The Eagles ain't win. The Eagles ain't win. I'm saying everybody else won games except for the Cowboys in that division. Even the Washington Commanders won their game.
Yeah. But let me just say this. If you watch the Washington Commanders, once again they played the London Jaguars, which the game was in that game. But the game was in Washington, if I'm not mistaken. In London, they obviously aren't able to close out games unless they're in London, so that doesn't count. And let's be honest, Carson Wentz was able to close out that game and find a way to win that game. But at the end of the day, it didn't look good. It did not look good from Carson Wentz. It was not a convincing by any means. So I'm not 100% sold on Washington just yet. They've got the pieces there, but are they going to be able to play the way they need to play to win some of these games when it matters? That's still to be seen. Danny Dimes, we'll get to that later on. I'm sure we'll get to that. I bet Danny Dimes and the New York Giants, I still am not 100% sold on that team because they don't stay healthy. Saquon Barkley looked like the old Saquon Barkley, but for how long? And the Eagles, we already know. I picked the Eagles to win this division. I think it's the Eagles' division to lose already, even before the Dak injury. I think with the Dak injury, it just makes it a little bit easier potentially. But let's look at the Cowboys' schedule moving forward for the next couple of weeks. They have Cincinnati at home next week. They go on the road to New York Giants in week 3. They got the Commanders at home in week 4. They go on the road to the LA Rams in week 5. So, I mean, if we're looking at that and we say he's out 4 weeks, right? Even if Dak played, I don't know that they necessarily beat the Bengals at home. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know that. The Giants on the road, I would expect them to win that with Dak. Now it's more of a toss-up. The Commanders at home, I kind of would expect them. They'd be slight favorites, I think, in that game.
Would be at least a 6-point favorite in that
game. They'd be a slight favorite in that game, but now it's more of a 50-50 again. And with the Rams, even with Dak, I think we thought they were going to lose that game. So, and then the following week, they go on the road to Philly. So, even if he misses 4 weeks or 5 weeks, I think it's almost nothing's going to change for them. So, I'm not going to say the season's over, but I'm going to say it got a lot harder to make the playoffs.
I'm not mad at your breakdown.
I mean, they still got the Lions after that. They got the Bears after that. They got the Packers who barely can score a touchdown on the road. They got the Vikings on the road. They play the Giants again. They're playing the Texans this year. I mean, they've got
the Texans. You hear it here first. Texas beating the Cowboys this year. And you're going to hear the Texas fans all throughout the year. We beat the Titans, we beat the Cowboys.
The Texans going to win the AFC South, so.
Oh, shit. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and stop that foolishness. Anyway, Dominique Powell says Cowboys done already. Fractional Walnut says Jimmy G to Dallas. They said they will listen to offers for him now.
If I'm San
see
Francisco, I'm not trading Jimmy G after
that's
that
my point.
week
That's
one
what I was about to get
performance.
at. That's what I was going to get at. If I'm the 49ers, I mean, now Jimmy G is more valuable than ever, and I don't want to give up this asset right now because of what's going on in front of me. And I don't think it was Trey Lance's fault of what happened over the weekend at all. That was just horrible conditions of playing, even though, of course, Justin Fields
Justin Fields was playing in that
yes, I
condition as well.
I know. My point is that 49ers team lost, of course, their starting running back. Didn't have Kittle on was playing as well either.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to see how this 49ers team look later on in the season. That one
Everybody making all the excuses in the world for Trey Lance. Everybody want to make all the excuses in the world for Trey Lance.
Don't you have them going to the NFC Conference Championship game?
No, I don't. When Jimmy G was the damn quarterback, everybody was like, Jimmy G's the reason why they not winning the Super Bowl, so on and so forth. So much so that they had to bench my man Jimmy G in favor of Trey Lance. And look at Trey Lance go out there and put up a stinker in game one, and now everybody trying to say, well, actually, they didn't have their starting running back because he got injured, and it was raining. And, it only rained when San Francisco had the ball. When Chicago had the ball, it wasn't raining at all. It was bright and sunny the whole time. I mean, y'all over here making all the excuses in the world for Trey Lance. I mean, whatever. Miss me with that. Trey Lance is obviously not quite ready for the job. I don't think that he's bad.
After
and don't get me wrong.
Hold on. Is that not an overreaction? You tell me right now after one game, you're telling me the Trey Lance experiments, whatever you want to call it, is over already?
I didn't say it's over because they're obviously
the moment is
they
already
don't want to look
big.
like fools.
He can't learn from this situation.
I'm not saying
week one and get better from it. Like, I need to hear this because
I'm not saying
I could have sworn you were very highly on Trey Lance. Like
no, I was not high on Trey Lance.
Yeah, okay, I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
I wanted Jimmy G to be the starter, and I have consistently said Jimmy G should be the starter. Okay. Trey Lance in all his starts has thrown an interception. That's not a good look. That's number one. Number two, you go out there, you throw for 164, which, okay, yeah, that's fine. I understand. 46.4 completion percentage. That just for me, even in those conditions, we know there's a lot of dinks and a lot of dumps and stuff. We're talking about in those conditions, really 46%. I mean, last year he had a 57% completion percentage. He threw 2 interceptions again. I mean, I don't know that he's ready quite yet for the job. I think that he still needs time. And you can't throw your season away if you're San Francisco to give this guy time. If you were rebuilding, I would say, yeah, just let him go out there and throw all the picks he wants to in the world. Let's experiment and see what he's going to do. But I don't think for this team, a team that I think very much, they could get back to the NFC Championship game. They could get to the Super Bowl like we have talked about for the last couple of years. They are a team that when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are ready to put a team together and get those guys ready to play, they come out and they play well. Mm-hmm. But with Trey Lance at quarterback, I don't think I'm already rethinking picking them to go to the playoffs. The only thing that helped them out is that Dak Prescott now is hurt. Kyler Murray obviously isn't watching film at all. We can talk about that. So because he on
oh my god
and everything.
I didn't know you were gonna bring that up. Okay, that's fine. Just catch me off guard. That's perfectly fine. Let me get to the comments right quick because you're a fool. Christine says, question is, will Dallas make a move for quarterback? Of course, that is the biggest question that is yet to be answered. We'll of course have to sit back and wait and see on that one. Greg says Cowboys are cooked. It was already written, but Dak injury sealed it. Fracture One also says no Kittle, no Mitchell. Never seen a QB win with trash except Brady because he the GOAT. So again,
Debo Samuel.
It looks like Trey Lance gets a mulligan for this week one. And let him give an opportunity next week. Damn, Ish, you why you such a hard grader? What is wrong with you?
Y'all so soft, man. Y'all so soft.
This hard nosed old school football coach right here just
y'all
don't
so
get
soft.
nobody much slack. I see.
He riding the bench for me.
Dominique says I don't think they will because Dak won't be gone that long.
Yeah, and that's the question. If you bring someone in, you're bringing them in to what? Be a backup once Dak comes back. So
pretty
like,
much.
who do you bring in that's comfortable?
And so that's okay with coming in first.
Yeah.
The only person that comes in and that's okay with that. And to be honest with you, this is just a far-fetched of a name, but it's just who I'm available at the moment would be a Cam Newton. Again, I don't see it happening. I know. Make the face all you want to. That's what I said, far-fetched. I don't see it happening. I think Cam's done. But somebody that's okay with coming in there for 2 or 3 or 4 games, getting a backup job and keep moving. He won't know the playbook off top of his head because it's a completely different play scheme compared to what he did with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. But athleticism-wise, somebody has a decent arm, somebody that can utilize the weapons, I wouldn't mind making that call. I know you make that face. I know you make that face, but now thinking about it, it makes a little sense.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is because my concern was even if you do have a guy in mind as far as that's on another team that you want to trade for, how much are you going to be willing to give up for a guy that you're going to bring in for a couple of weeks that's going to be a backup after that, right? So when you say Cam Newton,
the business side of
started making more sense for me. Yeah. It started making more sense for me for Cam Newton's standpoint because he's a free agent. Maybe we get him in on a team-friendly deal with a lot of incentives behind it based off of, performance and stuff like that. And then maybe we can ride with Cam Newton for a couple of weeks. And I think even with the way he plays, you can kind of make a 1-2-3 punch with Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard as well. So I don't know.
Again, just for a couple of games. Dominic says, I think Cam done, but that's my dog, though. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Greg says, I can't wait until they tear down Soldier Field. It's just a dumpster with people
it's not that great. It's not that great.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that new stadium. If that does happen in Chicago, we'll see. So
they need that
let's go ahead and recap some of our some of the things we talked about on Sunday regarding some bets and also some upsets that we thought would happen. And we went 1 out of 2 on the upsets happen. And of course, our segment, If I Was a Betting Man, I talked about the Texans will cover the spread against the Colts, and that happened. We saw literally, of course, a tie. So that, of course, helps out the spread. If you, of course, put some money down on that, you was able to win you some money. We'll talk about that game shortly. Also, I talked about, stay far, far away from that Browns-Panthers matchup.
I hope you did.
Yeah, I mean that was a game
ugly.
that let's be real, to watch it was cool. It definitely was something to want to be, I guess, a witness of because of course Baker Mayfield trying to get his revenge against the Browns. But of course Carolina was a 1.5 favorite. Cleveland won by 2. And I just felt like that game could have went either way. I mean, it did literally at the end of the fourth quarter. I mean, it literally could have went either way. And if you stay away from that, you won money because you didn't lose money. So there you go. We're 2-0. This is the one that hurt me, though. Unfortunately, apparently the Chargers and the Raiders want to play some defense a little bit there. I was very surprised. I was expecting more points, more fireworks to happen in that game. That did not happen. But I'm pretty sure the next matchup they have against each other, I feel as though I'm still taking the over for that one. So, of course, if I was a betting man, went 2-1, that means you won some money over the weekend. If you was, we'll go ahead and take the advice from X Talking Ish. And we also, of course, have, don't be upset, where we, of course, talked about our upset picks of the week. And I'll start off with Ish on his.
You know what? The Jags should have closed that one out. If we're being honest, the fact they weren't playing in London really hurt them.
I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. I thought that was going to happen.
It was there. I started getting excited. I was like, oh, it's there, man. This is easy. They had the ball driving down. Yeah. All they had to do was run the clock out, and somehow they found a way to just throw that all away and give the Commanders the game at the end. And Carson Wentz, I mean, like I said, it was not convincing, but you got to take your hat off for Carson Wentz and the way that he was able to respond once he came back with the ball, game on the line, and drove down the field. I mean, sealed the deal for them. That drive was a big-time drive. So, yeah, hats off to him. He saved that game for them. He, the upset, I thought it was there for a minute. I was really excited. I was like, yes, the London Jaguars are starting it off the right way. And then,
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Ish. I mean, when it comes to that game, I was honestly more impressed and more surprised with how Carson Wentz played. I'm not saying Carson Wentz is now reborn and everything is all forgotten over the last couple of years. No, that's not the case at all. But it does help being able to come to a new environment, get that first win off your back, and be able to come, finish off the rest of the season. Again, that the hardest thing is to get that first W of the season. That's the hardest thing to do. Once you get that first dub, a lot of relief off your back, and you can go ahead and move on. But for Carson Wentz and whatnot, again, if you're a Carson Wentz supporter, Christine, because apparently, again, these some Philly folks love him, some Carson Wentz, even though he couldn't finish the deal in the Super Bowl, but that's another story for another day. Then, hey, you're happy for him. But like we talked about, this could be the last stop for Carson Wentz as a starter if it doesn't go right for him.
It is.
So we'll have to, of course, wait and see on that one. Let's get to the comment section right quick. Give me 1 second. Fractuana says, I have some questions about Pep running the offense in Houston. First half played great, and second half they wet the bed.
Yeah, but I don't think so. I want to address that because I was going to come on here until they threw away the 17-point lead. I was going to come on here and say Lovie Smith and Pep Hamilton as the 1-2 punch head coach, offensive coordinator, pretty much defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. I like that for the Texans. I like the way the defense looked early in the game before they got gassed out in the second half. I like the aggressiveness. I like the way they were flying around. Clearly, they're playing like they've got something to prove. It was against a division rival, so we'll have to see how they play against some of these other teams. But I felt like Pep called a really good game for Davis Mills. I think he put him in really good spots. They tried to run the ball. They tried to establish the run. They stuck with the run even when it was struggling a little bit. They went with Burkhead after a while because he was getting a little more results than the rookie was, and I thought that was a good move. I thought like everything from a strategy and coaching standpoint, it looked good for the Texans. I don't think that the second half was it was because of bad play calling. I think if you look at it, one, the Colts responded because the Colts wanted to win. Two, I think that Davis Mills just kind of wet the bed as far as sealing the deal for the team. I don't think that was play calling. So I think if the more experience Davis Mills gets, he was kind of convincing me that he might be a solid starter in the league. Not a great starter, not a superstar, but one of those guys that maybe he can do just enough to help you win games and keep you kind of relevant.
He Matt Schaub 2.0.
Yeah, Matt Schaub. Yeah, he's like a Matt Schaub. I think that's fair.
I'll say this. Can we all be honest with everybody that's tuning in right now? This is the same Texans team we've seen for the last 20 years.
Oh, for sure.
They play well. They play well in the first half. They do their thing on defense. Offense either shows up or it doesn't, and it comes down to something that happens in the last bit of the fourth quarter, and they find a way to give up the game. That's what the Texans did. There's nothing new. This time they ended up in a tie. Usually they lose the game, but this time they ended up in a tie.
And they should have lost the game.
I will say it was a very hard-fought tie, but Ish, I have a question for you. Do you feel as though a loss is worse than a tie, or a tie is worse?
For the Colts, a loss. For the Colts, I think a tie is worse. For the Texans, I think a loss is worse. I think they should be looking at this tie like, man, we won because they should have lost that game. And for the Colts, I think they would have you might as well have lost the game, really, because you're in a bad spot. The only good thing about it is Tennessee lost, so it helped
Yes,
both
yes.
the teams
We'll
out.
get to that shortly. We can go ahead and keep on bringing that one up. Michael Turner, shout out to Michael out here tuning in. He says we should be looking at this tie as a win. We should have lost that game. Pretty
Yep.
much reiterating what you were saying, Ish. And Greg also said, as a Texan fan, I wasn't surprised by the outcome. It comes with healing from trauma. And again, if you're a Texan fan, again, this ain't
You're
nothing
gonna
new.
have a lot of trauma.
You see this all the time. Fracture One also says if Winston can play like he did in the second half for the whole game, the Saints might be a problem this year, in my opinion. Again, my pick for MVP this year, so watch out for Mr. Jameis Winston. And also, do we have questions about Matty Ice being done? Yeah, that's interesting. Ish is already declaring certain teams and people are already done after week one anyway. So I guess I'll throw it to you, Ish, right quick. Is he done after 1 week?
Done as in what? Like I think he's done as far as he need
Being
to go
I
ahead.
guess being a productive quarterback that
Yeah,
can make it
he
to
need to go
maybe
ahead.
a conference championship game.
He need to go ahead and wrap it up. I think
So y'all tell me
he
the
on his
Colts
last leg.
did it again. The Colts swung and missed on
I
another
don't think they
quarterback trying
necessarily
to
swung and
take
I
them
don't
to a
think they
Super
swung
Bowl.
and missed. I think you're overstating it as far as they swung and missed. I don't think they swung and missed. I think that they got a guy that clearly is at the end of his career. He's going to lean heavily on Jonathan Taylor, and they're going to get as far as probably winning the AFC South if they're lucky, and the Texans don't find a way to win it. And then
You're again,
losing early in the
you need to stop
playoffs.
drinking on voodoo juice if you really think the Texans are going to go to the division. Like, you got to stop trying to build false hope in these fans' heart, thinking that it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Bro, they already tied with the Colts.
Okay.
Man.
Anyways, we're gonna move on because this is enough. Anyway, Donnie Paul says, "Are y'all sold on Davis Mills for the Texans?" Yes. For another team, not so much.
I mean, he's matched up for the Texans. He'll be a solid guy for the Texans. He might help them, potentially win the division this season and keep them somewhat relevant in the AFC South. Now, is he their franchise guy? I don't think so. I'm not sold on that just yet. I think they may still, as much as everybody's like, oh, they're sold on Davis Mills, so on and so forth. I think if they are high enough in the draft coming up, with the number of quarterbacks coming out that are hyped up, I think they probably still got to go quarterback. I just don't know unless he really, really balls out. I think they might still go quarterback because I don't know that they are sold on him. He's just solid. He's not that game-changing guy.
All right, that's interesting. All right, let's finish up with the last. Don't be upset. I picked the Steelers over the Bengals. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. Again, I called that one. I tried to let y'all know the Steelers came in them black Air Force Ones and they were not playing. But apparently y'all don't listen to me, and that's perfectly fine because, again, if Coach going to hand you black Air Force Ones, I mean, look, Booby said it himself. God made black beautiful. God made Booby beautiful. And God put Booby in these black nights so he can run some motherfuckers over. All right. So with that being said, let's stay in the AFC South right quick and let's talk about the game that I know everybody wants to talk about right quick because everybody wants to say hee ha ha to X, and that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and bring it. I'm not mad. We both got this wrong because we both felt like the Titans were going to win this game. And you want to talk about teams wetting the bed? Shit, y'all talk about the Titans. I mean, the Texans wetting the bed in the second half. That's what the Titans did. Giving up their lead and letting the Giants win the game that they should not have won. And if any Titans fan is out here looking at this game as a moral victory, I'm sorry, I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. We should have, we'll get them next time, Skipper. A game like this might be the reason why you don't make the playoffs if you don't win the division. The AFC South, the AFC as a conference is that tough this year to where week one loss compared to last year, where last year they lost week 1 to the Cardinals. And that wasn't a game that really, let's be real, they had to worry about too much regular season because they ended up getting the number 1 seed in the AFC. So last year wasn't a problem. This year, this team does not look anything remotely like they did last year. And that's a problem already. And again, it's not just the Titans. It's it's Cowboys. It's Green Bay Packers. There's a couple teams out here that's not looking the way that they supposed to look. But the best thing about it is that it's early in the season and things should be getting better moving forward when you start getting these collective pieces to work as a unit. Um, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say what I really want to say when it comes to you know being great home warmers and whatnot. I should say house welcomers into our house when it comes to paying a 9/11 tribute to New York and letting them get a win. I'm not gonna say that. I'll let it go. I'll let Saquon have his great game because he's only available for about 4.5 games before he's out for the rest of the season. And Daniel Jones, you don't know how long he's going to be able to play. He might be in there for 6. So it's nice to be able to watch the Giants play, a decent game until they're out for the rest of the season. So with that being said, let's give our kudos to your boy Danny Dimes. I'm going to go ahead and let you have the floor so you can talk all you want about your boy Danny. And now before we do that, let's get to the comment section. I'll let you have the floor. Fracture One that says, Ish, a Bama QB name better not come out of your mouth. Bama QBs are trash. Oh, yeah, Ohio State QBs also. Ain't that the truth? Mike Turner says, long live Ryan Tannehill. Surprisingly, that game wasn't his fault. But again, trying to get him up out of there. Dominique Powell also says, yeah, I know some people lost money on this game. Y'all got me last year with the Jets. Yes. Thanks for bringing it up again. Things that hurt my chest because, again, we lose to teams like the Jets, and then next week we beat the Bills. It makes no sense. I don't know how we do this. Next week we play the Bills on Monday Night Football. If I'm y'all, go ahead and chalk us up as a loss because for some way, somehow, they're going to find a way to win that game because everybody's going to doubt them. They're going to win the game, beat the Bills. It makes no sense. I don't know why the Titans do this. I'm just as bamboozled as y'all are. Fracture One else says, nah, Egg, say it, bro. You'll feel better. Nah, I won't. I'm still sad. Ish, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I mean, one running back had 18 carries for 164 yards and a touchdown. The other running back had 21 carries for 82 yards and no touchdown. Now, before the game, if I told you that the one that had the touchdown, 164 yards, was Saquon Barkley, I don't think you would believe me. You would have had me committed. You would have said, no, there's no way. And the fact that Derrick Henry didn't even hit 100 yards, like that says it all for the Titans. The game was doomed.
It happens every season with Derrick Henry and the Titans. He starts off slow, he builds the momentum, and he ends up with the rushing crowd at the end of the season.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm not saying like this is one game. We saw it last year with the Jets as well. The Titans just seem to have these games where they come up against these teams they should be beating and they just go to sleep. Okay.
Now, I did say this on Sunday, and again, if you want to go tune back into our pregame shows on Sundays, it is on our Facebook pages. It's right there. You're more welcome to go tune back into it right quick. But I did say on our show, watch out for the Giants. This is not last year's Giants. It's interesting to see these new teams with new coaches. A lot of these new teams with new coaches, except for the Broncos, were able to pull out a win in week 1. Again, I know it's week 1, but I'm just saying that maybe some of these coaches were able to, have been able to build their culture within the offseason and training camp to where it's maybe being able to showcase, the hard work that they put in the offseason and showcase it on the field and making a team believe in what the coach is preaching. So with Brian Dabil, again, we've seen what he was able to do in Buffalo, even though he was an offensive coordinator. I'm expecting Brian Dabil to continue to keep putting up those, at least the offensive side, because I talked about he led in the offense in the preseason total offensive yards. So I'm not saying the Giants going to win the division. I don't expect that at all, but I do expect to see a better Giants team this year than we did last year.
I mean, it's not hard to beat what they were last year, especially with all the injuries they had. So as long as people stay healthy, obviously they're going to be way better than what they were last year.
Well, because that's the name of the game too, is health.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the thing is they've always had the talent. So let's not act like this is some like out of world experience, because the Giants have always had talent. It's not a question of whether or not the Giants had a talented team. It was a question of can they stay healthy long enough to actually be able to play in games together and gain some sort of momentum. Okay, congratulations. You won the first week against the Tennessee Titans. I'm definitely clapping y'all up because Saquon looked like the Saquon of old. Sterling Shepard looked good. Danny Dimes, he looked okay. It wasn't a great game by Danny Dimes. I know I'm always on here hyping Danny up, but it wasn't a great game by Danny Dimes. It was okay. He did have the 2 turnovers. But, hey, if you can play solid like this and keep your team in the game and around as long as you can with some of these weapons like Saquon, Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, who has yet to really show up for them. But if you can, keep it close, they will win a lot of these games. They have what it takes to win these games. And I think they're building the pieces on the defensive side to help them with this. So, yeah, like you said, be on the lookout for the Giants. I don't think they win the NFC East, but I do think that they may be able to. Maybe they could sneak into the conversation for playoffs later in the season. Not necessarily in the playoffs, but sneak into the conversation.
And I mean, it's the NFC. We talk about it is wide open. I mean,
yeah, it is.
If you're on the NFC side, you could maybe snag your wild card spot.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. Fraction One says the Giants look like they were coached well during the offseason.
Yeah.
They might be the best coach they've had since they won the chip. High praise right there. But if you do look back at the previous coaches they have had, I mean, they have picked some trash ones. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, let's go ahead and get to let's get through some of these games a little bit quicker so we can cover some more of these before we get up out of here tonight. Steelers-Bengals games. I think this was one of the most interesting games of the weekend. Of course, most people assume, especially with the Bengals having a 7-point having a 7-point spread in Vegas against the Steelers, that Bengals should probably win this game, relatively easily. That was not the case. Steelers came to play. Not just that, they also almost gave the game up. Joey Burrow almost pulled another one out of his hat when it comes to being sacked 7 times and also having 4+ turnovers. I mean, for some reason, it's kind of like Joe. I wouldn't say he's like the boogeyman or a cockroach or whatnot, but I know that the win is for the Steelers, and the Steelers. I feel like this is a great momentum builder going into the season. The great news, of course, about TJ Watt is that he does not need surgery. He'll be able to hopefully come back within 6 weeks. So they were able to dodge that bullet. But after doing all that and only winning still by a point, do you look at Joe Burrow and say, damn, like, this guy is pretty good? Because, again, if he can still keep this game this close, having all of those mistakes and all of those unfortunate circumstances being on the ground for the most part of the game, is his ceiling all the way up to maybe Montana, but the floor could be maybe a short career like an Andrew Luck just due to injuries because nobody's protecting him? That's what I see right now with him. I mean, Joe Burrow can be as great as Joe Burrow want to, but if he's not healthy because he's on the ground, I mean, we might not unfortunately get to see the best of Joe Burrow.
I think that Joe Burrow definitely has that it factor that you look for when you look for a franchise quarterback. He's just got that thing about him that, he's got that swagger. He's got that moxie about him that he's just not going to give a game up. He's going to, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how far behind they seem, he's just got that thing that about him that he's going to, continue to lead the team. He's going to do what he can to make the plays, and he's never going to give up. He's always going to be pushing and pushing and pushing. And even with as bad as he played in this game, for them to have the opportunity to be in this game, it just says all you need to know about him and, what they have in Cincinnati. So definitely if you're a Cincinnati fan, if you're somebody in the organization, you're looking at this game and as upset as you are about losing it, you're looking at Joe Burrow and you're saying like, hey, at least we got our guy. This is our guy, man. And we're going to go as far as we're able to keep him healthy and around. And I just, I thought that the upgrade over the offseason was supposed to be to this offensive line. Well, clearly not, because that. And I don't want to get too much on them, but I will say this. All the memes that are out there about people with all black Air Forces and the things they'll do to you when they catch you. Yeah, I wasn't listening, but y'all better pay attention, because the beat down they put on Joey Burrow and his
you were on your eyes real hard at me. Like, hey,
I learned my lesson.
It's all good. It's all good. I love you. I still love you, my brother. I still love you. Sometimes we gotta be hard headed to each other and say, "I ain't gonna know. I'm gonna learn my way." It's all good.
Right. I see anybody with all black forces, I'm running.
Go the opposite way. You go the opposite way. Exactly.
I ain't even gonna keep walking towards them. I'm just gonna turn and run as fast as I can in the opposite direction.
And this is how we learn, everybody. This is what we call growth.
We learned.
We're healing one another, as my boy Greg would say. We have to heal to be able to grow with one another. Greg also says the Bengals spent so much money on the O-line just to get the same results from last year. Madness, you're 1,000% correct. I felt the exact same way. I didn't understand. You revamped the line, and the line is still trash. But anyways, Fracture One also asks, Bengals on a Super Bowl high, even though they didn't win. Well, the last 16 Super Bowl losing quarterbacks have not made it back. I'm sorry, first time Super Bowl quarterbacks that have made it to Super Bowl for the first time have not made it back ever. So I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen to Joey B. It's a horrible stat to be a part of. I don't know about Super Bowl high just yet. I respect their confidence within one another. I know they'll bounce back. Let me see. I know who they play next week. Let me see. Oh, they play the Cowboys. They play the Cowboys next week. And of course, with Dak not being there, I think this is a game that they need to come back collectively together on both sides of the ball to get this W and then continue on with the season. But they can't lose, especially to a team that doesn't have their starting quarterback. Then we'll definitely have to start looking at the Cincinnati Bengals a little side eye. So yeah, we'll go with that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Saints and Falcons game. Of course, division rivals, two teams. I'll be honest with you, Ish. I think this is the fan base wise. These two fan bases talk a lot of mess, and I think this is a rivalry that really doesn't get talked about as much, because I just don't think that it gets as much publicity compared to the some of the other divisional rivalry matchups and whatnot. But this Saints Falcon matchup, Saints are a very petty group, and they were on a roller coaster of emotions watching this game. Because of course this was another game that went back and forth until the end of the fourth quarter, and the Saints come out with a 1-point victory against the Falcons. Ish, what was your takeaway of this game?
The Falcons are a lot closer than we thought they were. That was my takeaway from the game. We did talk about them potentially being like a dark horse or something. I mean, they played well. They played really well in this game. The Saints found a way to win. I'm not as concerned because it was a divisional game, and like you said, it's a rivalry that I think isn't given the due that it definitely deserves. But I think the Saints found a way to win, which I'm excited about them finding a way to win, because I have picked them to win this division. But I think I was able to learn more about the Falcons than the Saints, because I think the Falcons played well enough that you do have to consider. I mean, Cordell Patterson still looks like that dude at running back. Like,
I mean, to play running back at a high level. I mean, I think he had an amazing game yesterday.
And Mariota, I mean, he actually played
looking like Mariota of old, huh?
Yeah, he played well. I was surprised.
It's because of the system that he's in now. It's a system, of course, that he was in Tennessee that was a little more of him rolling out, more of him being on his legs, not moving forward, but of course more in bootlegs and being able to get him on the move, and where he's more accurate, which is surprisingly, of course, on the move outside of the pocket. So Arthur Smith is somebody that, of course, knows Mariota well, and that's why I wasn't really surprised with the Falcons being a little more successful this upcoming season. A lot of people expect because, again, I know when people think of the Falcons, they just 28-3, ha ha ha, you suck. Oh, I got it. But sooner or later, they're going to have to, put some respect back on their name. I mean, they have some young, talented players as well. And Mariota's the bridge quarterback. I understand what Mariota's there for. He is the bridge quarterback for the next quarterback to come in, depending on how they, of course, fall in the draft, not just this year, but most likely next year. And as long as you can keep building and instill a winning culture, Arthur Smith comes from, of course, the Mike Vrabel tree. And Mike Vrabel is somebody that wants to instill the belief of winning, because if you believe you can win, right? I know it sounds obvious, right? Duh, but it's real, because we have some organizations out here that continue to lose, and they don't have that belief anymore. But once you finally change the way that the franchise is ran through the players and the coaches, it allows the next wave of players to not give up, or to not let down the players that came before them. Pretty much is the way. I mean, we've seen it firsthand with the Patriots. The Patriots before, that 2000 era, they were called the Pansies. I know, some of us are too young to even know what happened in the 70s and 80s with the Patriots, but yes, they were one of the worst franchises in the league back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And it took, not one player, but it took multiple players throughout that Patriot run, starting off, of course, with Brady and Belichick. And it's something that has transpired over a 20-year period to get the Patriots to where they are now. Same thing with the Falcons. I'll go to the Bengals. We saw what happened with the Bengals last year. It took one season of a group of players and a coach that believed and was able to put the pieces together to get them to the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. Not saying the Falcons are going to make the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that with the Falcons, sooner or later, they're going to have to change their luck and stop being this doormat of a team, especially for the Saints and maybe Tom Brady. But sooner or later, I think the Falcons hopefully will get it together.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, potentially.
We'll see. Chad says, roller coaster doesn't even describe it. Things look bleak. LOL. Yeah, I can only imagine. All right, let's go ahead and almost finish it up for tonight, so we can get y'all off to bed and y'all can kiss y'all's babies good night. We also, of course, have on the East Coast a coming out party for Mr. Tua Tagovailoa under the new offensive scheme for Mr. Mike McDaniel. And if you, of course, was watching this on social media, you would think that you'd have thought that Tua had a bad performance, mainly because of the first apparent throw that he had in the first quarter. And it seemed as though that everybody wanted to throw that on the loop. But after that, high snap and bobble and, unfortunate throw to Tyreek Hill, Tua played. I felt as though he played well enough to win the game. And, of course, that's what they did. I think it's more room for improvement for him, and also the offense as a whole. And we both know defense is a little bit easier to start off as a season and build chemistry. Takes a little bit longer for the offense to do that. But the Dolphins so far, to come out and play that well at home, of course, the Dolphins are what's the word? Adequated. My apology. Adequated to the weather. They know how that weather is, especially playing with the roof open. I asked on this show on Sunday, would Belichick bringing the players down to Miami, would that help them or hurt them? Seems as though they didn't do it in either or. It just seems as though that was just a better Miami team. Just a better Miami team on both sides of the ball. And Mac Jones, of course, unfortunately came out of that game. After the game came out and said that apparently he has a lower back injury. Keep a lookout on that one. But for the most part, it just seemed like a lackluster performance by the Patriots, and just a lot of just looking around like what's going on with this what they brought in from the offseason to the regular season, which is we don't know who's calling the offensive plays, but we're going to see what happens. And also on the defensive side, we know Bill's going to be taking care of that. They gave up 21 points. It's not, horrible. You could probably win some games giving up 21 points in the league, but if you're, of course, obviously not scoring more than 21 points, you're not going to win that game. But for the most part, I'll throw it to you. Does this game show more about the Miami Dolphins or show more about the New England Patriots?
It showed more about the New England Patriots. I think this was the game that we were looking at. Who's going to finish second in the AFC East? Who's the better of the two teams that everybody felt like were competing for second? And it showed us that the Patriots aren't even in that conversation. Get them up out of there. That offense, just like we talked about it in the pregame show, right? We talked about all the concerns we had. Who's going to run the ball? Who's going to be the number one wide receiver? What is the play? What does the scheme look like now, right, on the offensive side? Well, I can tell you, it only scored 7 points, so scheme doesn't look great. Mac Jones didn't look great. It just was unconvincing all around. It was an unconvincing performance on that offensive side. I mean, the defense, we all know what Bill Belichick is capable of, and for them to hold Miami to the number of points they did with all the explosive plays and everything that was going on, I mean, that was quite a job to have to complete. So I just think it showed us so much more about the Patriots, because we know now that the Patriots are not even in that conversation. Like, just go ahead and move them up out of there. Miami, now we're looking at you to actually do what you were supposed to do, finish the job this year. Last year, the year before, you just missed the playoffs. And make the playoffs this time, please.
I agree. Let's go ahead and move on to another divisional matchup.
No. I don't even want to talk about this game, man.
What's wrong? Right? You act like it affects you. This not even a conference game. This had nothing to do with you. I'm just bringing it up because I just felt as though I was, right what I talked about in the pregame show, and for some reason people just want to continue to keep discrediting Mr. Kirk Cousins, and the Minnesota Vikings, of course, pulled away with a victory against the Packers, winning 23-7, and making Aaron Rodgers look very pedestrian. And I'll keep it short and sweet. It's scary hours for the Minnesota Vikings, especially under the new head coach Kevin O'Connell. I expect this every game. I mean, I have the Minnesota Vikings going to the NFC Conference Championship game, and if I'm lucky, if Kirk Cousins, I'm letting y'all know right now, I'm putting that little wages on Kirk Cousins win MVP, and if he wins MVP this year, they just say I'm taking all y'all to Lake Charles with me. We're going to Lake Charles, boys. Woo! Lake Charles on X Talking Ish. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna have a good time. No, but on a serious note though, Kirk Cousins, Captain America, is out there taking care of business, and can definitely be a dark horse for coming out of the NFC. Ish.
He did his job. He did his job. It wasn't great. It wasn't outstanding. He just did his job, which that's what Kirk Cousins has always been. He's always been a guy that can do his job. I don't know why we try and sit out here and make it seem like Kirk Cousins is some world beater. He's not, okay? And if I'm throwing to Justin Jefferson, I think I'd be throwing for 277 as well, okay?
Well, that's how you do football.
I don't know. But
okay.
Anyway.
All right. You want to throw for 270, though. Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to say.
Y'all better stop disrespecting Captain America, all right? That's what y'all going to stop doing.
Captain America did his job.
Thank you, Fracture Wanda. Mister, you like that? Put some respect on his name.
Green Bay need to get their rookie wide receivers on the jugs machine ASAP.
I'm with Fracture Wanda on that. Kirk Cousins MVP, Mahomes runner-up. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, no.
Why are you being a hater, bro?
After week 1, Mahomes would be number 1 on MVP discussion.
No, it wouldn't, because guess what? We already know that the Chiefs do what they do with Patrick. Like, we know, oh yeah, he's so great. Again, if ain't no Kirk Cousins on that Vikings team, it might not be. It wouldn't be what they.
There's Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson.
First of all,
any quarterback throwing to Justin Jefferson. I mean, come on now.
First of all, you got 700 wide receivers on that team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're all good. You have a stable of 30 running backs.
That's a lie. We don't have
Patty Mahomes though, huh? Okay.
It's Patty Mahomes.
All right, good old Patty. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up tonight with the Raiders and the Chargers game. Now, again, just to finish it up, and I know I'm sounding redundant and whatnot, but this is just another one of those close matchup games that could have went either way. If you're a Raiders fan, I'm pretty sure you're probably kicking yourself because you probably felt as though you should have won this game. Mr. Herbie does it once again and is able to take down the divisional foe. I'll say this, Ish. I would ask you about this game, but I'm not really even worried about this game. The game I really want to talk to you about, and you know what I'm about to bring up. Oh, you know what I'm about to bring up. I'm talking about Thursday Night Football. This upcoming Thursday. Mr. Patty Mahomes and Justin Herbie. That's the matchup everybody wants to see right there. Well, what are your thoughts on this matchup this upcoming Thursday on Amazon Prime live time? Now, nobody, of course, gave us our payment for that, but we hope to get that from Amazon soon. But
hopefully.
seriously.
What are my thoughts for the game coming up on Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if LA wins that game. I wouldn't be surprised if LA wins that game. I think
LA, is battling injuries as well too. Keenan Allen is out. He won't be playing most this upcoming Thursday. I know, of course, unfortunately, first round pick is out for the rest of the season as well too. That's unfortunate, but again, something we talked about in the pre-show. Seems as though it's just a plethora of injuries throughout this whole first week of football. That's very unfortunate. Let's hope everybody get back healthy as soon as possible. Even if you are on IR for the rest of the season, hope everybody get back as soon as possible. But for the most part, Ish, I know you're probably worried about what besides injuries. Are you worried about Justin Herbert coming in and carving y'all up? Or are you just saying that the Chargers as a team is just a better collective overall team than the Chiefs right now?
Well, I don't think that they're a better team than the Chiefs right now. I think that the two teams for me are kind of even until we see, what happens on Thursday. And then obviously there'll be a better team, at least on the day. But I think that we saw last year, the Chargers play well. They prepare well for the Chiefs. They just kind of know how to attack that team, how to come in. They come in ready to play, especially in Kansas City last year. We saw what happened with the Chargers going into Kansas City. So I think the biggest thing that for me is just the fact that McDuffie's out for the season. I think in the secondaries, that's the place we didn't necessarily need an injury. And to have an injury happen there, especially early in the season, it kind of hurts some of the momentum we're able to drive on. And I know we're going to have some people that step in there and do what they need to do. But, we'll have to see how the secondary responds, how the team responds, the defense. I think the defense is the main concern. The offense, we know what they can do. The defense is a concern. And I think for Justin Herbert and this Chargers offense, that's where I'm concerned in this matchup is, do we really want it to be a shootout like that? Do we really want that? And that's where it looks like it might end up having to be that.
As a viewer, I want it to be a shootout. I would love to watch that happen.
Yeah, I'm talking about
as a fan. I don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs fan. I don't know if you want that, but as a viewer, I would love to have that. Fracture One says, will the Chiefs kicker be coming back this week? The way his ankle looked on that kick looked like it hurt.
Yeah, he's questionable. I don't know. I haven't heard of any signings yet, so I would assume if they really felt like he couldn't go, they probably would make a signing. Because I don't know that they want Justin. I mean, although he made an extra point, I don't know they want him doing that again.
Look, I understand it's cool to watch, position player kick because it's not as normal as it used to be back in the the early days of football and whatnot. But I know it's just probably on the same mindset when it comes to let you kick, let your leg go a little too high, and all of a sudden your hammy hurt. Now you out. You're a little bit more of a important piece to this team than the kicker is. So that's something to keep a little eye out as well. I know Justin Reed and, of course, guys like Ocho Cinco or, people that definitely wanted to get their opportunity to showcase their kicking skills, even though that's not their primary position. But let's let the kickers, keep their job doing that. But anyways, Dominique Powell says, yeah, that game going to be fire. Roll with the Chiefs, though. Your boys look good-ish.
Yeah, they do. I'm not gonna lie, they look really good. I'm excited. They look a lot better than I anticipated they were gonna look early in the season. And if they can just keep that momentum rolling, it should be a good game. But Chiefs should be able to pull it out at home.
We shall see. We shall see. Well, I am headed to vacation tomorrow, so y'all won't hear from me until Sunday morning when we will join y'all back, of course, for our week 2 predictions. And hey, I'm looking for ahead week 2. I mean, it's some fire matchups too. So I mean, hey, it don't stop at the week 1. We're gonna have us a hell of an NFL season. We also have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football as well. So if you don't know about that, we also again have a doubleheader on Monday night. So tune in for that. So again, if y'all want to see us, make sure y'all join us on Sunday morning at 10 Central Time in the morning, and of course 11 Eastern Time if you are on the East Coast. Other than that, we will see y'all next time at X Talking Ish.
What is this week 2 Monday night schedule?
Really, that's how we gonna end it. I'm trying to end the
Yeah.
show, and you over here talking about what's the two.
Well, I'm
Man, hurry up, man! I'm trying to end the show. All right, we'll see y'all next time, guys.
Oh, it's gonna be really good. Oh yeah. I'm excited for Monday night. I'm
Here this
excited
guy,
for Monday
here this
night.
guy go. This guy late as
Okay.
all. Okay.
For once they did it. They did the right thing. Oh, we can end the show. Go ahead.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in the last 30 seconds of this. I obviously don't know when to cut. All right. See y'all next week.